But let's move into the next segment, and 11 through 20 is where we're going for starting shooting guards, and we're going to do it the same way we have been doing it. Ricky's going to give his, Dave's going to give his rankings, I'm going to give my rankings, and then we'll give you the cumulative, and then we'll look back on last year's for a brief moment as well, and we're going to try not to go 40 minutes long on this time. Ricky, 11 through 20.
I didn't think 40 minutes was that bad, but
I gotta give me an hour on each.
I got to go to work. That's the reason why we're on a time crunch.
I'll start off with mine, although I don't think he should be the starting shooting guard. We'll get into it, but Landry Shamet at number 20. Then Danny Green, also in L.A. He's at number 19. Gary Harris at 18. R.J. Barrett at 17. Josh Richardson of the Philadelphia 76ers, now at 16. Jalen Brown at 15. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 14, Andrew Wiggins at 13, Karras LeVert at 12, and Wooden Award winner, got to put some respect on that name, Buddy Hield at 11.
Dave.
Nice. At number 20, I've got Danny Green. At 19, it's Derek White. At 18, it's Landry Shamet. At 17, Andrew Wiggins. 16, Jalen Brown. 15, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 14, it's Luke Kennard. At 13, Josh Richardson. 12, Buddy Hield. And at 11, Karras LeVert.
Wooden Award winner, Buddy Hield.
All right.
Yep.
My rankings at 20, I have Danny Green, 19, Derek White, 18, Gary Harris, 17, Luke Kennard, 16, Landry Shamet, 15, Josh Richardson, 14, Shai Gilgeous, 13, Karras LeVert, 12, Jalen Brown, and 11, Wooden Award winner, Buddy Hield.
Thank you.
And then for our we get it. Cumulative rankings.
3 times.
20, Danny Green, 19, Gary Harris. It's going to be more than 3. 19, Gary Harris, 18, Landry Shamet, 17, Luke Kennard, 16, Andrew Wiggins, 15, Josh Richardson, 14, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 13, Jalen Brown, 12, Karras LeVert, and 11,
Wooden Award winner,
Buddy Hield. I'm also glad that we ended up having Luke Kennard over Landry Shamet because I personally think Luke Kennard's better, but for some reason I put Landry Shamet over him by 1. So I disagree with those rankings, but I'm glad in the cumulative that got all fixed out. Just to recap where we were last year, at 20 we had Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. So Laker shooting guard still at 20.
Staying at 20. Hopefully less jail time this year.
Hopefully less jail time. Josh Richardson at 19. He moved up a little bit. Four slots for him. Kent Blazemore was at 18. He's not even on the Hawks anymore. 17, Evan Fournier, who fell to 23. We have Zach LaVine at 16 from last year. He's moving up into the top 10 clearly. At 15 last year, we had Andrew Wiggins. He's fallen 1 spot to 16 this year. At 14, we had some bum named Luka Doncic. We'll see him next segment. 13, we have J.J. Redick, who's now on the bench, but would still probably be around that 13 range.
Yeah.
And then 12, we have Jalen Brown. He moved down a slot to 13. And then at 11, we had Lou Williams, who obviously is 6th man of the year and shouldn't have been in a starting anything.
Yep.
That was our fault. But let's jump into it. We have Danny Green, Gary Harris, Landry Shamet, Luke Kennard, Wiggins, Richardson, Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Brown, Karras LeVert, Buddy Hield. Let's start with Ricky. You brought up the Landry Shamet debate. We'll continue with what we had with Derek White, Andrew Wiggins, Dillon Brooks, Dion Waiters. We'll start there with Wiggins and Shamet. We'll start out in L.A. What is your whole thing with the Clippers starting lineup?
So I was and I'm pulling up my phone because I got to look at the lineup that I texted you guys yesterday, because as we were having the debate yesterday, I was on the MLB stream that I was doing, twitch.tv, Most Valuable Podcast. Go and follow it. And I was kind of talking with Jake, one of our patrons, about who should be the starting 2. And I was going through what the list that David come up with. And he goes, Landry Shamet, he goes, what about Paul George? And I was like, oh, duh, we're stupid. What about Paul George? I just think the lineup they should run is you've got Pat Bev at the 1, you've got PG at the 2, Kawhi at the 3, and then because I don't think they're going to play Harold, you can put a Mo Harkless at 4, and then Zubac at 5, and then that way it gives your second unit. Lou Will and Shamet give you extra scoring, and then you have also a third. It's almost like you have 2 first units in a sense, because that Lou Will, Shamet, and Harold unit against a 2 is like a low 1 going up against maybe a high 2 in some cases.
This team is absolutely stacked. And to go through your whole thing for my lineups thing, I texted you at 1:57 when you were likely on the stream. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I obviously am well prepped and was doing it the night before.
And
I do everything.
And I got it confused. I'll spoil where I had Paul George. When I read your initial message,
Yeah, we all had him at the same place.
I thought you were saying Paul George at number 2, and I was like, yeah, Paul George at 2. And then I reread it and I went, oh, like after I said it, I'm like, oh, he said at the 2.
Yeah. But I said, are we thinking Bev, George, Kawhi, Harrell, Zubac, like you said? And I'd say I'd personally do Bev, Shamet, George, Kawhi, Harrell. But then we have now come to Bev, Sham, George, Kawhi, and Zubac. Because pretty much last year, if you look at what happened when they moved over, Pat Beverly started a ton of games. Shamet started 23 of the 25 games. You're not going to bench Paul George and Kawhi. And Zubac started, I think, every single game that he was there. There's also the Mo Harkless, JaMychal Green debate that you could have had and put him at the 4. And we really did come up with a tough one. And I think Dave kind of was the tiebreaker here. He said Pat, Shamet, PG, Kawhi, and Zubac. And, I mean, they could really go with anything here.
Yeah.
It's really just up to them on what they want to do.
Like, I think we will get a version at some point of Kawhi at the 4, PG at the 3. But I think day in and day out, it'll be PG at the 2, Kawhi at the 3.
I think what we came up to, at least with our decision, and obviously jump on here, Dave, was what we wanted to do was we looked at that second unit and was like, what are they lacking? We obviously saw last year that the connection between Lou and Montrezl Harrell was absolutely strong. It was dynamic. What's the one thing they need on that second unit then? And we looked at just the lack of defense most likely, and Shamet being on that wouldn't help it. And you have Mo Harkless and you have JaMychal Green, both guys who are solid defenders. So that was where we ended up trying to fill out those gaps in that second unit because you already have enough offense on that team with a 16-point game per scorer last year in Montrezl Harrell and the greatest six-man of all time in Lou Williams. We wanted to add that defensive punch. Why Shamet in the starting lineup in your mind? Is it for those reasons?
Yeah, I mean, it balances out. You have floor spacing in the first unit. You have incredible defense at the wings still. And just a solid 5 in Zubac. He can be good. He's good offensive. He's okay defensive, you know? Not the worst, but still, you might get abused by some bigger 4s, take it to the low post. That's fine. It's fine. But that second unit, like you said, you solve the problem of defense. Like, teams are terrified, or were terrified last year when they would go with that second unit lineup and just go on runs. You'd see 10, 15-point runs, and it would just be like, oh, okay, this shit's getting out of hand. And it forces other teams to play against them differently. They have to shorter sub-units, or they have to decide, okay, we're going to take 3 guys out, bring these 2 in. Like, you can't do, like, not full hockey changes. You know, you can't do full 5-on-5 changes. But I think the joke is, like, Paul George at 6'9", playing against 2 guards is ridiculous. I can't see him chasing.
He can do it.
He can do it because he's an All-NBA defender and you know, an MVP candidate. But I can't see him chasing JJ Redick running around fucking screens left and right all day. That's not his job. He's going to use his energy to defend the best wings in the game. Same with Kawhi Leonard. Like, you have those 2 guys for a reason. Let Shamet go out there, use his energy, spray the floor, space things out. Incredibly gifted shooter. I'm all for it.
Where does the lineup that we currently have lack? So if we're throwing out Bev, Shamet, George, Kawhi, and Zubac, what's that weak link there? Is there a weak link on that team?
Does it's that still low post defense.
Okay.
But I'm not really worried about that.
Would you be worried about the speed of that team outside of Shamet? Because none of those guys are blazers. I mean, Kawhi and Paul George, more lethargic, slow guys, are going to pick you apart and attack you. Paul George, obviously, extremely athletic, same with Kawhi. But you're not looking at their speed as their number one gift. Zubac, obviously, a little bit slow-footed, very good
for
with
7
his
feet tall. You're getting whatever speed you get.
And Pat Bev isn't a blazer out there, so would you say speed and low post defense would be their kind of Achilles heels?
If someone's going to abuse him, like, I'd like to see like De'Aaron Fox and Pat Bev go up against each other, because I think that De'Aaron's just incredible speed, like John Wall-esque first step.
Yeah.
Like, that's about the only thing that I could see him penetrating, getting in the low post, and causing havoc.
You know what team I could think give him like a lot of trouble? Pelicans. Could you see it?
I mean,
you got decent speed. You got Zion. You got Jackson Hayes. If they throw that out there, obviously they're not well, put together players yet.
They're still 2.0.
But they have a lot of athleticism. Zoe's pretty fast. Drew's pretty fast.
Could be interesting.
And also bigger 2-guard and Drew. I don't know. I'm just thinking about it.
Well, and that's the thing of, like, maybe I'm wrong in thinking this, but, like, if that game becomes
the Hawks.
if that game becomes like a let's
Are we
run.
really worried about the Hawks?
But I'm just saying speed-wise. I'm just trying to figure out like
If
where,
it be-
like what
Yeah.
teams could give them problems at
Right.
least the starting lineup.
That
Go ahead.
might be the thing of like with this lineup, like how you said, like Kawhi and PG more the lethargic is the word you used. If teams are like, all right, we're just gonna pick up the pace. We're gonna do kind of like what old like back in the day with college where it was like we had the fast pace up tempo kind of teams where
7
it's like
seconds or less.
we're not even gonna like Chip Kelly out there 3 seconds or less kind of
Chip
getting
Kelly,
out
the
there.
football coach.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean he was all about
Basketball.
speed as well. But
What about your nougaty goodness then?
where I feel like the Clippers might be more of a half-court team with some sprinkles of transition
Yeah.
scoring.
For sure they're gonna be a half-court team.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I would say is like the way that they counteract the speed is just having fucking Paul George and Kawhi Leonard out there who are gonna jump lanes and are gonna
Mm-hmm.
just immediately try to slow down the ball, which they can do. So that might not be a problem in the long run. Let's move to the next team. Andrew Wiggins is a guy that we had all over the place. Dave had all the way up at Ricky had all the way up at 13. Dave had him at 17. I had him at 22. We wondered about the lineup for this team as well. Obviously, Jeff Teague at the 1. Then we questioned who to put at the 2. Is it going to be Josh Okogie? Is it going to be recent draft pick Jarrett Culver? Is it going to be Andrew Wiggins? Then who plays the 3? Would it be Wiggins? Would it be Rocco? Would it be Culver? Would it be Okogie? Then who plays the 4? Is it Rocco?
Is it Naz Reid?
Is it Naz Reid? Is it Cat? And then do you play Naz Reid at the 5? Or do you put Gorgie Dieng? We know the players that are likely going to be out there. Wiggins, you can't bench that contract.
Yeah.
You can't bench Cat at all because he's your best player by a mile. You're most likely not going to bench Teague because he is really the only true point that you have on that team. And then you can't bench Rocco because of the defense that he can bring to that team. So it's really who do you want to put in, Culver or Okogie, and then where do they fit? We ended up picking Culver and then thinking that he's best at the 3. And Wiggins has shown that if he has any position, he's most likely best at the 2.
Yeah, he really was affected pretty badly by Jimmy Butler's just
Personality?
Jimmy's presence. was
Jimmy
the word I was
Butler. I
going
think it's
for.
just he was bothered by Jimmy Butler.
He was bothered by Jimmy Butler amongst other things, but yeah,
How are my young Timberwolves doing? My
Be-
Timber pups.
being displaced definitely hurt him in his game because like Jimmy Butler has a mid-range game. Jimmy not a deep threat, and that's what Wiggins like. Wiggins drives. He's a slasher. He's a cutter. He needs the ball in his hands and he can take off. That's fine, but like floor spacing just got ruined by that. So bringing him back to the 2 and having one of those 3-point shooters out there next to him at the 3 will definitely help out his offensive game. I expect to see him play a little bit better. Now, it is summer, so we did get the annual summer Wiggins mixtape, in which he looks ripped, he looks great, everything's going in that they're showing, of course. So I'm being conservative, being like, look, he is one of the I think he's one of the highest scorers in the Timberwolves history. It's not the most efficient ever.
They have Kevin Garnett, K-Love, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Wiggins, really.
Yeah.
Wally Zerbiak, too. Like, it's not a deep franchise.
Point being, still one of the best. Can't take that away from him. That's true. But it's not efficient. And, like, he never really has focused on his efficiency or his defense. Year over year, we've seen, complacency. And that's the big thing. So if he is all in on his basketball game this offseason, and he does continue to develop his shot and work on his effort on defense, and his conditioning's there, like, I have no reason that this guy can't jump up to the top 10. He's got all the God-given talent.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to blame Jimmy, but I'm going to blame Jimmy.
Yeah, it's fine.
And the reason why
He was
is...
in for like 10 games.
No, I'm going to blame Jimmy because the reason why is if you look at it since Wiggins been in Minnesota, his rookie year was pretty good, and then he made a jump his second year, and then he made another jump his third year to where it's like that fourth year, that 2018 year, the same year that Jimmy came in his first year in Minnesota, you saw points go down. You saw field goal percentage go down on less attempts for Wiggins. You saw 3-point percentage go down. You saw free throw percentage go down, mainly because he went from 6 attempts a game from the line to only about 3 or 4 attempts from the line. And also, like, I look at it too, where the VORP didn't really change much, but like win shares, he went from like a 4.2, 4.1 win share guy to 2.1, 0.6 last year. And that to me is like, I feel like with Jimmy not being there, like for a full season, now he can basically get himself right. Like that tape that we saw, I don't care about the ripness. I don't care about how good he looks. I just care about, is he going to get himself mentally ready for this season? Because I want to see the Andrew Wiggins that we saw before Jimmy, and I don't want this to be like where we look back and go, man, they should have never traded. Thank God they did, because as a Bulls fan, I love that
Thanks
trade.
for Zach and Lowry.
Yeah, thanks for Lowry marketing. But I think we might look back at this as like years down the line and go, man, they would have never traded for Jimmy. Who knows where Wiggins could have progressed?
I disagree, but just to give you an idea of what he did post Jimmy Butler, 64 games after Butler left around November 12th. 64 games, 41% from the field on 16.8 shots per game, 33% from three on 4.7 attempts per game, 4.2 attempts from the line at 69%. He scored 18.3 points per game, 5 boards, 2.6 assists, near a steal a game, near a block a game, and 2 turnovers. So pretty much a 1-to-1 ratio on his assists to turnovers. The biggest thing with me in watching Wiggins is he does look lost out there, which maybe it was Jimmy Butler. Maybe Jimmy Butler's that big of a psychopath. But I want to doubt that. I don't think he's that crazy. And I think the signs of Wiggins kind of taking a step back were already there. He has probably the worst shot selection in the NBA right now. Who are you coming in with?
I was going to say RJ Barrett.
Okay, but Wiggins is just
He's just
older.
coming into the NBA. Go ahead, say it. Finish your statement, because that's polarizing.
Andrew Wiggins just RJ Barrett, but maybe just older. I mean, is there
More
much of a
athletically
difference?
gifted?
More athletically gifted. Who, Wiggins?
Wiggins.
But I would say, but RJ is probably a better ball handler.
Yeah.
So a little bit different, but I mean, they play a very similar game. So I just think that Wiggins is just a horrible. He doesn't know where he fits. He doesn't know where he's shooting the ball. And I don't think it has to deal with Jimmy Butler. I think it was just mainly he had so much usage back when, before Cat became Cat. And I think really the biggest thing that displaced Andrew Wiggins was Cat becoming a monster and Cat taking that next step and Cat becoming such an efficient player that you need to feed him the ball more. And Wiggins is now trying to find out where he fits, and he's not having this massively high usage. And that's what's hurting Andrew Wiggins, because he's not having the ball in his hands to do what he wants. He has to play around Cat. And that's the way it should be. Cat's a better basketball player than he is.
But you still need that 1-2 punch for a team to actually make it to the playoffs in the West. And
that's true, but right now Andrew Wiggins is bad.
Well, that's the thing. Do you think that their offensive scheme has... I know it's changed since they brought over Robert Covington. Like, that was a big win for them. And I know the Dario Saric thing was temporary, obviously, with the moves that happened. But still, I think that this team absolutely is going to do better, like... Stat-wise, I think he's going to do better this year, because I think Jeff Teague takes less shots. I think Cat takes more. I think Wiggins takes more. You have better spacing. Remember, Rocco was only there for a handful of games before he got hurt.
Yeah.
So, their game changed a couple of times, very quickly. And I think with Rocco's spacing out there, I see Wiggins being able to succeed, really, because you do have another guy staying behind the line.
You're on the Andrew Wiggins comeback train.
I'm on the comeback train, yeah. Okay. I'm hopeful, man. I was the guy hoping Brandon Knight would come back, though. It's don't always take my advice.
Yikes.
I'm just going to be hopeful.
Sipping the Kool-Aid.
The thing that I'm going to be interested with is it's kind of a double-edged sword, where I think stats-wise, Wiggins will be better this year. I hope he's better this year. Yep. I want him to be better this year. Do you? But the thing you can't take away from, I know I bashed Jimmy for the fallen stats for Wiggins.
Yeah.
But do the T-Wolves make the playoffs in 2018 without Jimmy Butler?
No, the answer is hell
they
no.
don't.
He had to come back and play hurt to get
That's
them in
what
the
they
playoffs.
want. That's why they made that trade.
Jimmy's a better player than him.
And that's the thing of, that's why I wonder what, and we'll get into Jarrett Culver, obviously, small forwards, but that's why, to me, Culver is the linchpin to this team, because he's not going to take over, he's not going to be the ego that Jimmy was, but how much is he going to contribute as a rookie?
I think the biggest thing is what Jimmy Butler told Andrew Wiggins was that you need to work, and you're not God's greatest thing. You're not the prospect. You're not Maple Jordan. You're not the savior of Canada. Start working your ass off. And Wiggins does not do that. The biggest reason why Andrew Wiggins isn't a great player yet is because of Andrew Wiggins. And I think that's what Jimmy Butler told him. I think Andrew Wiggins just shut down. And I also think another thing, too, is you look at the usage rating of him, and that great year that he had his third year, it's at 29%. Then that dropped off 6 points, and that stayed down even after Jimmy Butler left to around 24 points. So, I mean, he was getting used less, and I don't think he knows where he is, and I think he's probably questioning himself, and I don't think he's putting in enough work to get to that point. And
But
maybe,
you know what he's not questioning?
but maybe in the summer, maybe now seeing the summer workout stuff, and maybe seeing him take those next steps, maybe that is him, trying to shoot up his game. But
he's not questioning.
He's in a solo empty
the
gym.
bank account.
Yeah, Maple Jordan's getting paid.
I'll try harder, Coach. I promise.
Let's move to the next guys out here. We got Danny Green, we got Gary Harris, Luke Kennard, Josh Richardson, Shea Gilgeous, Jalen, Levert, Buddy Hield. Let's talk about some of the guys that are moving to new teams. We got Shea Gilgeous and Josh Richardson. Shea Gilgeous, OKC, and Josh Richardson to the Philadelphia 76ers. You can also throw Danny Green in there as well. Who is going to have the biggest impact on these teams? Danny Green, Josh Richardson, or Shea Gilgeous? Who you guys taking on? Biggest player who's going to impact this team? Maybe not the best player, but the biggest player who's going to have an impact on the team.
The thing I just wanted to throw out when it came to Shea Gilgeous, because we had a commenter. Dave was nice enough to respond back. And then we got a reply back. And I think we can add the conversation here. All right. So we had Deep Void when it came to Chris Paul. Was like, no Shea, shame, smiley face. Guess you guys will talk about him next year with everyone else. Another smiley face. And Dave said, do you think that Shea will start at point guard over Chris Paul? We decided Shea will be at the 2 for OKC. And Deep Void responded. He said, hey, Dave.
Fuck you.
Actually, no. Hey, Dave, I truly believe that Shea is their new building block, or let's say new Westbrook. Maybe if they are lucky, even better. If I'm Ballmer, I would lose sleep over that trade. So the thing that this is kind of sparking is, are we right having Shea at the 2, or will Shea be the 1?
No.
What's going on with OKC?
Till Chris Paul is not on the team, he's a starting point guard.
That's 100% correct. And the other thing, too, is Shea doesn't need to be a 1 to be successful, and we saw that last year. They threw out 3 guards out there with Shamet, with Shea, and with Pat Beverly, and it worked fantastic because Shea can be a combo guard, and that's the answer. I mean, Shea, when he's fully Shea, I think will be a point guard, but that doesn't need to be this year. And what he needs to do is he needs to be able to learn, and he needs to be able to grow his game to fully incorporate his three-point shooting and driving to the bucket and his defense and just becoming a consistent player all around, because he does have all the skill sets to become a fantastic player. And now he has a mentor, hopefully, in Chris Paul that can show him that. And a guy that just came from Los Angeles, a guy who has a similar, at least playing background, at least with Chris Paul being the guy before Shea Gilgeous was the guy in Los Angeles. They have similar roots in that standpoint. And I think that, and they're both, at least from somewhat the same area. I mean, Shea's from Kentucky, at least went to Kentucky, and then Chris Paul went to Wake Forest, and I think they're close. I'm making that up. Again, Michael Scott syndrome of starting a sentence and not knowing where I'm going. But at least, you know, they have that LA background.
Wake Forest is in North Carolina.
There it is.
So they're both from this. They both went to college.
So north
below
of Raleigh,
the Mason-Dixon line.
Raleigh,
Is
Carolina.
that the Mason-Dixon line? They are below us and above Florida.
Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Below Illinois, above Florida, east of Missouri.
Sandwich.
East of Missouri. Just that block.
Did you say that awful sandwich?
Nice. I didn't say awful sandwich.
Okay.
No, that's a nice sandwich.
Yeah.
Like I mean, maybe you know.
It's a basketball sandwich. It's a college basketball sandwich. That's
true.
what it is.
That's true. I mean, it is gorgeous there.
Yep.
North Carolina, Kentucky, we're getting off pace. Tennessee is too.
No, but I mean, like, dude's super long. He's tall. He's got all the physical tools. You said he's got all the basic building blocks to get, to be an elite point guard, an elite guard in the league, period. I'm with you. I think that he absolutely is talented, but, like, this is a team where you've got to let the kids play, and Chris Paul's still on the team, which is fine. Yes, if he's still there, he's a mentor. Great. If not, no big loss from my hands as a Thunder fan. Because,
I mean, they can't buy him out.
Yeah.
No one's trading for him.
Nope.
He's staying there.
Yep. That's all it is. That's all it is.
I mean, Shea Gilgeous just the 2. Have fun.
He's going to be good, though. He's going to be pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good spot for him. It's not like he's going to play with a guy who's not going to give him the ball.
Yeah.
He's not playing with,
and he can always.
I was going to say Russell Westbrook, but Russell Westbrook passes the ball.
He can always be, a backup point when Chris Paul needs rest, because then you can bring in either T. Ferg or Hamidou Diallo, Roberson,
he's
if
healthy.
he hasn't been traded, if he's healthy. Like they've got a bunch of young athletic guys. That's definitely the direction of the team. So you're on the right pace. I just don't think that, I don't think there's any problem with him being a 2-guard for this year.
All right, and then let's go to Josh Richardson, because I think he's probably the biggest guy that's going to have the biggest
Agreed.
impact. We look at that starting lineup, and it's insane for the 76ers. Obviously, Ben Simmons at the 1, Josh Richardson at the 2. The 3 we're putting Toby, 4 we're putting Al, and then 5 we're putting Joel Embiid.
Josh Richardson, the shortest guy on that team.
Still getting
starting lineup.
Still getting used to that lineup and that new look Sixers, but he's going to bring spacing to that team, and this team, if Ben Simmons takes that step that everybody wants him to, Richardson's going to fill in nicely. Richardson can even be a scorer as well. He can kind of fill somewhat of a Jimmy Butler role, not to the extent of Jimmy Butler, but they're not looking for him to do that. But Josh Richardson put up a pretty efficient 16 last year on a Heat team with a decent usage percentage.
Yep.
But he can also play off ball, and he's a guy that's going to bring great defense, and I think that he's probably going to be a guy that you're not going to notice his major impact until it comes to the playoffs, where I think he's really going to shine.
Oh, absolutely agree. He's a super talented young wing, and he's got good size, good athleticism, and like you said, his shooting plus defense. It's exactly what they were looking for forever. It feels like, or the Philadelphia 76ers. Like, yes, it's going to hurt that JJ's gone. You don't have that constant off-ball motion in their offense, but at the same time, you get a more complete player. And you don't run into that issue against your nemesis in Boston, where it's like, look, you're suffering because you don't have enough wing defenders out there. Like Josh Richardson, fantastic defender, never gonna be a problem.
Yeah, the thing I wonder is his role just gonna be basically defense? Is it basically 3 and D?
Yeah.
And the thing that
I don't think so, because
the thing I was gonna ask is what just points. What's a good points per game for him? Because obviously he's not going to get 16 a game like he was in Miami.
You probably expect Ben to be around 20 to 16 like he has been. You're expecting a growth. Joel's going to be around 23. What was he at last year?
I'll look it up.
I think I was trying to go off of what he was last year. Because a big thing, too, is Embiid's going to get the same minutes as he was last year? So if he's not getting the same minutes, then that might go down.
He had 27 and a half.
Okay. So Embiid's around 30 to 23, depends on his minutes. Because maybe
he was playing 33 minutes a game last year.
So maybe they take that down to 29
He's
or
25
whatever.
plus.
How many did you say for
that's
Ben?
Fair. Who?
For Ben?
16. 16 to 20.
Okay, yeah, he was at 16 last year.
Yeah, so I said 16 what he was at last year with the growth to 20.
If you can make a couple more shots or a free throw.
I'll say 25 plus for Embiid. Al, honestly, I could see Al being at like 10 just because he's not taking a ton of shots. Toby's probably around 17 to 14. And then Richardson, I think he could be anywhere to... I could honestly see him and Tobias Harris flipping. Maybe Tobias Harris takes less of a role and Richardson takes more of a role, because I know they paid Tobias Harris a ton.
Yep.
But, we didn't see him be great with the Sixers, and I really like Josh Richardson. So... I think at the end of the day, if he's going up against ones, because he is the smallest guy out there, he might be able to physically body them. He might be too slow, which might also be an issue to get by them. But if he's going up against small guards that aren't super fast, I think he might be able to torch them. And I think that might be a matchup they look to exploit every now and then.
Here's the thing, though, and I might...
He's a talented scorer. He's got it.
Oh, no.
So that's why I think that, maybe we temper expectation for Tobias.
Well, and I wouldn't be surprised now looking at the numbers from last year if he does get to that 16, because it's like, I know Jimmy and JJ are different players, but it's like Jimmy and JJ had 18 each, and they both averaged about 13 and a half shots a game.
Yeah, this is a top-heavy roster.
So it's like...
Perhaps more top-heavy than even last year.
If he can get like 11, 12, if he can get that 13 shots a game...
What was he at last year?
Richardson?
Yeah.
Let me see. I'd have to pull his back up.
Last year he was taking
12 shots?
14 attempts.
Okay. So, yeah, it's the same ballpark as Jimmy and JJ.
Yep.
So if he gets in that same ballpark, maybe he does put up 16 a game.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a huge impact on this team. So
yeah. No, it's the best starting 5 in basketball. Second best starting 5 in basketball, Clippers. I forgot the Clippers exist after talking about the Clippers. But they're right there.
know.
They're right there.
Embiid's better than Zubac.
Yep.
Horford's not better than Kawhi.
Yep.
Tobias is definitely not better than Paul George.
Yep.
You can make an argument that Richardson and, I mean, we have
Shamit
below Richardson.
That's true.
And we have Ben Simmons above Pat Bev.
Yeah.
I mean,
so there you go.
You can make the argument for the Sixers. I think Richardson was a fantastic pickup, honestly. I think they're actually better off with him than Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, no ego, hard worker.
Well, and Butler's an extremely hard worker.
I agree. The no ego is really my first.
I think the biggest thing with Jimmy though is the fact that it was just more of what he expected and what you expected out of him, where you can expect less from Richardson and be surprised when you get more.
Yep.
And with Butler, you expect a ton, and then when he provides 20 points a game or whatever, or he's not coming through in the playoffs, then you're just disappointed and you're fine if he's going to Miami. Let's go to the two other guys that I want to talk about here. Buddy Hield, Jalen Brown. Buddy Hield took a huge step up. We were expecting Jalen Brown to take a huge step up, and he took a step back. Let's start out with Jalen Brown and the Boston Celtics. Do you think he could take that step up now that Kyrie's gone?
I don't see it changing that much, I'll be honest with you. I mean, he has great playoff performances, but then the regular season never seems to keep that momentum going. So he's athletic, he's strong, he finishes well, but is he going to get the lion's share of shots? Probably not, because we all kind of I expect Gordon Hayward to be closer to what Gordon Hayward was on the Utah Jazz, not what he was coming off of that horrific injury. So if he's going to take more shots, JT's going to take more shots. I don't know that Jalen Brown's going to grow that much, He's very good. He's still young. He's athletic, but I don't see him exploding into the top 10.
He's just got to, for me, fit the weirdest thing, and why he was hard to place in my rankings was if you just go off his stats, you're gonna think, wow, Jalen Brown's not that good of a player. But then you got to think of the team that he is on, and it's because they got JT, because they've got Kemba Walker now, because they've got Gordon Hayward. He doesn't need to be the guy that's putting up a ton of shots. He doesn't need to be he fits a unique role where it's play some defense, maybe spell some guys and get in there on the second unit, or if a guy needs a night off, that's when he can start. He fits such a unique role in this Brad Stevens team that as long as he's doing what Brad Stevens wants him to do effectively, he's going to be good. And that's why it's I could put Shea and Wiggins and Karras above him. And that's why I had RJ, Gary, Danny Green, those guys below him, because it's he's such a unique piece to where it's anywhere else he'd be completely different.
It's odd too, because you look at his numbers and they look so similar. His first year, 45% from the floor, and then his second year, 46, and then his second year, 46. He had the exact same shooting percentage in his second year and third year, 46.5% from the field. Then his three-point percentage, that's really the only place that it does get a little bit different, 34, 39, 34. Then free throw percentage, 68, 64, 65. Really didn't change that much. Rebounds, he's always been around 3.5. His rebounds, he was 2, and then he was 3 in his rookie year, and then pretty much around 4.5 for his second and third year. His assists still around 1.5 there, steals around 1, blocks around 0.5, and then obviously his points took up when he got more minutes. But he hasn't really grown, which is the weird thing. He's been really the same player. Just it depends on, is he getting more minutes? Do you think he's getting more minutes at least now with Kyrie leaving and possibly more of a focus on this wing group of Gordon Hayward and Gordon Hayward and Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum? Obviously, they still have Kemba, but we think Kemba's going to blend more with this group more than Kyrie did, right?
I still don't see. He's still fourth best on that team. That's
Jalen Brown.
Yeah, sorry, and even then, if Marcus Smart, if last year's shooting wasn't the aberration, then he's the fifth, because Marcus Smart plays even better defense than Jalen Brown. And his last year shot incredibly well. It made no fucking sense to me, because literally a couple of years ago it was oh fuck, Marcus Smart's just taking threes out there, and now it's shit, he's knocking them down pretty consistently. But no, I don't see him getting that much more of a role unless he really has a breakout thing, and they decide look, we're gonna roll with him over Jason Tatum or something, or if Gordon Hayward, if that's the one situation, if Gordon Hayward never can get back to where he was, I can see his role decreasing because of where his contract's at and his current value, and they want to just pump up Jalen Brown, but then they got to pay Jalen Brown. So I do think that, it's predicated on Gordon Hayward's failure means Jalen Brown's success.
So it sounds like we're overrating Jalen Brown.
A little bit.
So where would you put him?
I put him at 16.
You put him at 16?
I think
I put him at 12.
Yeah.
I put him over Karras. I think he brings...
That's fucking sacrilege.
Why
That's
is
what
that?
kills me. Because look at Karras in the playoffs last year. Karras, last year playoff numbers, 21 points a game, 4.6 boards, 3 assists, a steal.
How many games?
It was 5 games.
Okay. I'm not gonna base all of this off 5 games, Dave.
Shot 49% from the field, 46% from 3 on 5 attempts a game.
But it was against the Sixers.
It was against the Sixers.
It was 5 games. Though.
No, that's what I'm saying.
And
it was very good.
With Karras, we saw that this was not with Kyrie on the team, and you know how negative I am about Kyrie. So,
but D'Angelo Russell versus Kyrie, D'Angelo choked in the playoffs, and Karras LeVert stepped up. You still have Spence.
That's great, but that was 5 games, Dave.
Yeah.
That's the thing is I'm not going to base it off 5 games. You are the biggest Karras LeVert lover, so I'm not going to take what you're.
Look what he did before his injury. He's putting up 18, 4, and 4 basically.
Mm-hmm, and then you get a pretty significant injury.
Yeah, I think it was 30.
And then it took a while for him to get back.
And
Look what he did. Look what he did when he immediately came back. Let's base it off of a more larger sample size.
Sure.
Let's just base it off the regular season he had last year. He wasn't shooting 49% from the field. He wasn't shooting 45% from 3 and putting up 21 a game. He was still finding where he was fitting in this rotation. And yes, he can definitely take that next step. And I wouldn't write that off Karras LeVert. If we're talking about Karras LeVert jumping into the top 10 next year, I can totally see that. But we did not see Karras LeVert's 5 playoff games throughout that whole year last year. We did not see that throughout that regular season because he was injured and coming off of that. So I have to temper those expectations.
Though,
but the injury was significant.
I understand.
So that's
but
why
he came back and he hit that peak again, is what I'm saying. Like, he was playing extremely well, injured, working his way back. And then guess what? He got back to it in the playoffs.
Yeah, he got
surpassed it, actually.
He did get back to the playoffs and surpassed it. Obviously, scoring up more points, was massively efficient. I just want to see him do it again.
That dude's a two-way, two-guard, plays amazingly good defense, dribbles, scores, facility. Like, he is exactly what you want in like a prototypical two-guard. If you're not going 3-and-D, like, that's the next best thing. And that's why I'm so high on him because of that.
I can admit when I'm wrong. I would say if I had to bet money on who would be in the top 10 next year between Jalen Brown and Karras LeVert, I would take Karras LeVert. But right now I think that Jalen's going to be very consistent. And that's what I was trying to point with the numbers of what he's done consistently throughout his career. He is going to be extremely consistent both offensively and defensively. I would like to see him obviously grow. I'd like to see him become a better three-point shooter. I'd like to see him drive to the bucket more. I'd like to see him become a more well-rounded player and improve.
Yep.
I think we're going to see a lot of consistent play from Jalen Brown. But you're right. Karras LeVert does have star power. That's why if I'm betting who would jump into the top 10, I'd take Karras LeVert. But if I'm looking at consistency, I'm going to look at Jalen Brown. And I think that that's what this Celtics team's going to preach. And I think a big thing that we're going to see is a focus on this starting lineup this year. And I think we're going to see those 4 of Hayward, Jalen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker really get more of a push than Jalen Brown getting 27 minutes a game.
Yep.
I think we're going to see him eclipse that 30-minute mark like he did in the second year. And I think we're going to see a more cohesive unit. And this was a Boston team that completely missed their mark when it came to expectations. And I think that they're going to probably exceed expectations now because people are tempering them so much. I think this is a comeback year for the Celtics, so I'm going to probably overrate a lot of these Celtics. But I obviously did with Kemba Walker. I put Kemba Walker at fucking 3 for point guards. I think highly of the Celtics this year just because they got rid of Kyrie, and I think that they're going to mold and mesh more. And you have a great coach in Brad Stevens, so I think you're going to get consistency out of Jalen Brown. We hit on Karras LeVert.
Yeah, we did.
So there we go. Let's move to Buddy Hield. Ricky, let's get you involved.
Yeah.
Say your phrase.
Your boy came back. Your boy took a come up.
I was super excited for I wanted them to make the playoffs so badly last year just to see Buddy Hield in the playoffs.
But then they realized they were the Kings.
Yeah,
choked on
not just the Kings, Dave.
Kangs.
They were the Kangs.
Yep.
And
I love them, but yeah.
the biggest thing is I know a lot of people in the point guards were how you disrespecting De'Aaron Fox not having him in the top 10. I can't wait to see what I know Buddy Hield's the focal point here. But I can't wait to see what this team does because do I expect De'Aaron Fox to be better? Yes. I hope Buddy Hield takes a step this year and is more efficient than he was last year and is just as good as he was last year points per game wise with 20. I wonder if they can if De'Aaron Fox gets better, Buddy Hield stays the same or improves himself, is this going to be a playoff team from the Kings? Is this going to be a team that makes the 8th seed, or is this conference just way too loaded? And it's like, wow, the Kings were good, but yeah, they didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean they'll be right in the contention for the 7th and 8th spots, I would guess. Buddy just gotta play defense, man. Mm-hmm. If he can play defense, he's a stud. He's an absolute star in the league. Like, he's shot so well from 3 every single season in the league. Everybody joked at the fucking trade when it happened, but like, guess what?
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing too, just to jump on that, like when we were looking at his New Orleans days, we were like, wow, this kid sucks. He was still shooting 36% from 3. That's still above the average. I mean, in Sacramento, I think his career average from 3 is 43% from 3. Like, he's insane.
And it's not on small volume either.
No.
Like, he has the green light, and rightfully so.
Give me the green
He's just
light.
he's an absolute stud. It's just, can he play defense? Like, he's, you know, in that same, in my mind, you know how I think I kept Trae Young out of the top 10.
Yeah.
Same thing. Play defense.
Well,
You'll get in the top 10.
Is he just new JJ Redick? Maybe on a larger scale.
No, because he's more athletic than JJ Redick is.
You know, it's funny.
But at least, you know, great scoring guard who can't play a lick of defense.
If that's that he fits that build. Can he be better than JJ? Absolutely. And that's the thing. Like, he's still so young.
The main part of that
not as young as people thought he was, but still.
The main part of that is just growing defensively.
Yeah, that's literally the only step to his game, because that team has De'Aaron Fox. They've got an amazing young scorer in Marvin Bagley, who's got a fucking engine that never quits. So, like, they've got 2 surefire other scorers next to him. They've got Bogdan, who is a nice complementary piece. It's like they've got the right guys. It's just everybody needs to take that step forward this next year, like they did this year, and they're in business.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the thing is, you were talking about his
Lack of defense?
No, the New Orleans days.
Oh.
And the thing you look at is, I'm looking at his VORP and his win shares. His VORP from the New Orleans day to this year was a negative 0.4. This past year was a 2.1. And his win shares went up from a 0.5 that New Orleans year to 5.9 this past year. And that's a big thing for me, where I really want to see Buddy Hield. Like, if he's not averaging, and I'm looking just at points in this, if he's not averaging 20 points per game, Buddy Hield did not have a good season.
Well, why wouldn't he average 20 points?
No, I'm not saying he's not going to, but like, if he does it for whatever reason. Is there a way you don't see? I mean, let's say,
do you think he doesn't get 16 shots a game again? Because like, his efficiency is incredible. Like, that's the whole thing that screams Buddy Hield is 45, 43.
And they didn't add too much. They just added to, fill in the depth for that team.
The only way that I see him not getting it is the first one, knock on wood, it don't happen, injury.
Yeah, he's been extremely healthy throughout his career.
But the second one is if teams look at what he was last year and go, hey, you know what? We're going to match up this, like, we're going to throw this at him defensively to where he doesn't get that 20 points in that game. And he gets, like, maybe 16, 17. Like, yeah, it's not terrible, but it's like, I even want him to have more than 20 points this year. I want him to be maybe up at 22, 23. And it might not seem like a lot, but, like, if he got up to, like, 23 points per game, like, that to me would be, like, a significant jump for Buddy Hield.
The one thing to help your case is when the Kings kind of started falling off, when they started, slowing down, people started beating them up, from the, February 13th to the end of the season in those 26 games. Buddy Hield was less efficient from the field and from 3, 42% and 37% from 3. But he still averaged 21 points per game. So he was still finding his buckets. So at least for your sake, Ricky, your Wooden Award winner still is in a good spot. And I definitely would like to see him take a next step up. But it might be a peak as well. And I think it would be definitely an interesting conversation to have. Would you take Buddy Hield over Zach LaVine or like Devin Booker? Because I know people hate on Zach LaVine, and Devin Booker is either massively underrated in people's minds or overrated. Definitely a conversation to be had.
Looking at my rankings, I would not have him over Zach LaVine. And Devin Booker, that would be a discussion because I almost had him over Devin Booker because, spoiler alert,
that's asinine.
Devin Booker's at 10. Buddy Hield's at 11.
Big leg Clay shoots like Steph. That's just disrespecting.
We had...
spoiler for me.
For at least those 3 guys, I had Buddy at 11, 10 I had Zach, 9 I had Booker. Ricky had Buddy at 11, Booker at 10, LaVine at 8, and Dave had Buddy at 12, LaVine at 10, Booker at 9. Dave, I want to ask you, what's the difference separating Karras LeVert and Buddy Hield? You have Karras over Buddy Hield.
I think he is a better creator for others, and I think that his team can lean on him harder. Like Buddy Hield can score from anywhere. Like that's his God-given right. But watching Karras LeVert play in the playoffs is basically what did it. You know, I'm a fan of the moment. Like during the playoffs the previous year, we watched Dame Lillard get made to look like a bitch.
Yeah.
And I rated him as such. He's still one of the top 3 point guards in the NBA. But like,
Yeah, I think it was 2, right?
yeah, I'm pretty sure he was 2. But it was
Dave
still
had him
like
at
that was
You
the
can't
last
call him a
memory.
bitch after the last playoff series.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Like CJ McCollum was elevated because of the one 2 years ago. It's just whatever happened recently. There's a biasness to that still. I loved Karras LeVert coming out of college. I loved him in the NBA, and that playoff series was just like, damn, this kid's stepping up huge. Buddy Hield hasn't had the opportunity yet to take a team into the playoffs and have his moment yet. So Buddy Hield has a good game. I think Karras has a more complete game. Slightly worse 3-point shooter, though.
Yeah, I think the fun thing about Buddy Hield is we saw that he could be the guy. We saw that in Oklahoma, and we haven't seen it yet in the NBA, but it's definitely possible. Final
He's
things.
also old.
Yeah, he's like 27.
Yeah. He's in his prime.
Final thing, shout out Danny Green, shout out Gary Harris, shout out Luke Kennard. Gary Harris will be higher if he is healthy, but was not healthy consistently enough last year. But if he is, he's a good two-way guard, and he definitely could be higher on this list. He just was not there last year and healthy enough to be up there. But that's going to do it 11 through 20. I said we were going to be under 40. We went longer than we went before. It's at 48.
I was just going to ask you because I'm like, man, this one felt longer than the last one.
We got to go. All right.